Good morning, and we are live. This is Old Texas Paul. Hope your coffee's as good as mine. Hell, I hope it's better. I hope you're having a good cup of coffee this morning. Before we get started, I want to thank the Smith County Democratic Party for allowing me to attend their meeting last night. I don't live in Smith County. I do not, but I do help them out every chance I get. They're the largest Democratic party around here. They've just had a change of leadership. Congratulations, Kristen. You've done a great job so far. We've got new, young, fresh leadership in the Smith County Democratic Party. And like I always say, get involved locally. Get involved locally. They had a great meeting last night. They're hashing things out, moving things forward. They are Kristen Ziegler is just laser focused on getting the party moving for these elections, getting them up to hyper speed so that they can do what needs to be done to get local candidates elected. And I'm very, very, very proud. And again, thank you for allowing me to be there last night. Got to give a little short talk, and it was good. It was good. It was good. Get involved locally, people. Get involved locally. Let's get to work. Let's get into it. Yeah, I had a good day yesterday. We went into Tyler, Texas. Went and did some shopping, looking around. I went shopping for a new guitar. I finally decided, you know what? I keep looking at guitars, trying to chase that Les Paul sound. I'm gonna go buy me a Les Paul. And then I got there and had complete sticker shock. I am such a cheap bastard. I am such a cheap bastard. I fully intended to walk into that store and buy a Gibson Les Paul, and I walked up and I looked at those things and I looked at the sticker prices and I was like, nope, 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 no. Oh my God, I'm telling you, I nothing you do but laugh at yourself. Nothing you can do but laugh at yourself. We've got some serious stuff to talk about, so try to keep a good frame of mind. You're no good to anybody if you're miserable and plowed under. You gotta keep the right frame of mind. Keep yourself busy. Keep yourself happy. Keep yourself moving because there's a lot of stuff going on in the world. I want to start out with a shout out to the folks in Japan. They are hurting today. They are hurting today. They had a massive earthquake in Japan, a 6.8 magnitude earthquake. They're used to dealing uh, with earthquakes, but this one was rough. I mean, they had a mall collapse. The Kumamoto, the Aeon Mall collapsed. It is some very, very heart-wrenching, tragic stuff. The death toll so far nationwide has grown to 16. I don't know how many have been injured, but yeah, keep our Japanese brothers and sisters in mind this morning. And if you are the type that prays, maybe say a little prayer for them. But yeah, that is definitely going on. We've had some things happening in our government as well. Um, Look, this is no secret. We've talked about this many times. You know this. This is something that you've known all along. Republicans cannot govern. They just can't. They just can't. Their entire view is the antithesis of governing. They are 100% diametrically opposed to government. It's it's what they are. It's what they run on, and then people are shocked that that they can't govern, that they do such a terrible every damn time they get power. It's a disaster. It's a disaster, and that's the theme for today's show. I mean, let's think about it. Let's think about it. What is government? What does government do? I mean, what do we need it to do? I'm not talking about like a philosophical discussion. I'm talking about a practical discussion. What is government? What is its purpose? What does it do? If you want to keep it really simple, government does what you cannot do individually, but need to have done. But that's really it. You cannot build highways. So the government does. We coalesce together into a government, and the government does the things that we cannot do. You cannot stand up to a corporation on your own. You cannot. You will be plowed under immediately. That's what government does. It regulates corporations, and that is the core. That is where the problem begins with Republicans, is they don't want to be regulated. They want to do whatever the hell they want to do, as criminal as it is. It doesn't matter. They don't want anybody there to investigate them. They don't want anybody there to enforce rules on them. They want to do and be as nasty as they want to be. And they deeply resent rules and regulations. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to, I never sell pie in the sky bullshit. I don't. Every once in a while, it gets out of hand. It does. It does, because government's run by people, and people are imperfect beings, and people are going to do stupid shit sometimes. I call us out all the time for doing stupid shit when we do stupid shit. Ethanol is a big one that I call out all the time. We thought it was a good idea. We thought it was a way to cleaner energy, and it wasn't. It wasn't. It caused world hunger. It took excess grain that used to be sold cheaply and donated in many cases to feed the hungry in the world, because we grew excess amounts of grain. We took that away and turned it into ethanol so we could pump it into our cars, which turned out to not be as efficient as we were initially led to believe it would be. And there were problems involved in it. Ethanol was a dumb idea. It was. Yet we're stuck with it, because now the farmers want it, because what they used to give away cheaply or for free to feed world hunger, now they're getting paid for. And they like that. So we're stuck with it. I'm not saying that government is perfect. Never have sold that. But it does good things. It does good things. It really does. It does good things. Like, keep our financial institutions on track, much to their chagrin. Much to their chagrin. They keep our financial institutions on track. How do they do that? By reining in the worst instincts, the worst desires of Wall Street. Things like, and again, that puts Republicans directly opposed to governance. It's when government gets practical that Republicans absolutely hate it, and they fight against it constantly. And whenever they get power, they destroy the important things that government does. And then when everything goes wrong, because again, we don't pass these regulations and we don't create these agencies because it's Tuesday and we're bored. We do it to address a problem. So when you destroy those agencies, the problems come back. And the Republicans Never say, oh, that was a bad idea. Maybe we should not do that anymore. No, they hate government. They always want to attack government. They always want to destroy government. They always want to weaken government every chance they get. So they're never going to say, oh, that was a bad idea. That agency did a good thing. Maybe we shouldn't have done that. Oh, my bad on us. No, they'll never do that. Never, never, never. So they distract. They lie. They tell people that immigrants are eating the dogs and eating the cats. And that's the theme of today's show. That's the lens I want you to look through as we have the discussions of the things that are happening, because important things are happening. For instance, we got Jay Clayton was just confirmed as the new director of national intelligence. That is an incredibly important job. That is an incredibly important job. One of the most important jobs in government. He oversees all of our intelligence agencies. This is not a job that you want somebody in who is an unserious person. This is not a job that you want somebody in that is somebody's stooge. This is an important job that's critical to our very safety. I mean, our very existence. And it is now in the hands of a swamp creature. For those of you that don't know who Jay Clayton is, he is Trump's lawyer. And I mean that not hyperbolically. I mean, he's literally Trump's lawyer. Let me just stick with me. I'll explain that. First of all, in the first Trump administration, he served as the director of the SEC, the Security and Exchange Commission. Now, what was going on in Trump's first term? Wall Street, again, and Republicans hate regulation. After the crash of 2007 and 2008, we had a come to Jesus meeting. We slapped on a bunch of new banking rules. Not enough. We did not regulate enough coming out of the 2007, 2008 collapse. But any regulation was too much for the oligarchs and the Republicans. And they spent all their energies in trying to roll back everything that we did to try to prevent that kind of crisis again. Hell, the American banking industry almost collapsed. The American domestic auto industry almost collapsed. The American housing industry almost collapsed. So yeah, it made sense. It wasn't Tuesday and they weren't bored when they came up with these regulations. But the oligarchs fought them tooth and nail as hard as they possibly could. They fought everything we did to try to prevent another collapse like we had. And from the moment those regulations were put in place to right now, this second, they have continuously fought against those regulations. And Jay Clayton was their man when he ran the SEC. He helped Trump work to dismantle everything that we had done after the 2007-2008 collapse. And how did they do it? Well, they went to the stupidest among us and said, but Obama did it. The black president did this. It's got to be bad. It's got to be bad. The black president did this. And that's what they were doing instead of preparing and dealing with COVID. That, if you go back to the Trump first term, that was his entire first term. Passing out favors to the oligarchs. And Jay Clayton was his man at the SEC. He was the one that made this happen. And when Trump lost to Biden in 2020, he was out of a job. So what did he do? Where did he go? Well, he is of the swamp. He is the swamp's lawyer. He is their servile, just their tool. So he went to work in the swamp. He was appointed lead director of Apollo. You probably don't know who Apollo Financial is. You probably don't. We've talked about it before. The name's probably familiar to you. They are one of the largest. They're on the scale of Vanguard. They're on the scale of BlackRock. They are the largest, one of the largest vulture capital financial shit houses that you've never heard of. It is run by it was created and run by a guy by the name of Leon Black. That name is probably familiar to you as well. This is the announcement on April 17th, 2025 of Jay Clayton's departure from Apollo. He was appointed in Trump's second term to be the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York. From SEC to U.S. Attorney of Southern District of New York. There was a reason he was put in that job. Stick with me. We're going to get there. But just a reminder who Leon Black was. Leon Black and Epstein were bosom buddies. They were as tight could be. Leon Black was the guy that walked out of the hearings. When you talk about them protecting people, the Trump administration protecting people on the Epstein list, they're talking about people like Leon Black. Leon Black had to resign as the director of Apollo Management, and Jay Clayton took over. He is of that swamp. That's who he is. They put him in as the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York for a reason. For a reason. Prior to serving in his time off from the first Trump administration to the second Trump administration, he had, one second, let me pull it up for you. He worked for Sullivan and Cromwell. Again, that's going to be one of those things you've probably, the name's familiar to you, but you don't remember who Sullivan and Cromwell are, but their names come up several times in recent history. Jay Clayton was one of their, he was management at Sullivan and Cromwell. Sullivan and Cromwell represented Trump in the E. Jean Carroll defamation case. That's probably where you heard it from. They led the appeals for Trump on his felony convictions for the falsifying records convictions that he got, the felony convictions for falsifying records. Sullivan and Cromwell was his attorneys there. It's just one thing after another. They are deeply tied to Trump and the swamp, and guys like Leon Black, folks that are on the Epstein list. And it's not just Jay Clayton. It's not just Jay Clayton. They pulled people out of Sullivan and Cromwell. They made Matthew Schwartz from Sullivan and Cromwell a judge. They moved Jamie McDonald out of Sullivan and Cromwell and made him a U.S. attorney in the Southern District of New York when Jay Clayton had to move on. And again, now we have Jay Clayton as the director of national intelligence. This is where this guy comes from. It's who he is. They're the swampiest of the swamp. They are the broligarchs bros. They are literally Trump's attorneys. And they're infesting our government like screwworms. And now Jay Clayton holds one of the most important jobs in our country. Again, not a person with intelligence chops, not a serious person, not a person that you would want overseeing our massive intelligence apparatus. A servile minion who serves Trump and the broligarchs, not the American people. I don't know. To me, this seems fairly important. It seems fairly important. I just, I just want to be clear about that. I mean, this is not a small deal, even though the press just didn't make much of it. They didn't tell the American people how dangerous this guy was. They didn't tell the American people his background and what he does. So this guy is now in place. And you just have to look at that through the lens of his entire existence has been to destroy regulation, to help the broligarchs, basically to fuck you, has been the purpose of his existence. And now he controls all of our intelligence. I mean, what could go wrong? Well, there's a lot that could go wrong. There's a lot that could go wrong. And I want to clear something up, and I shouldn't do this. I shouldn't do this. I shouldn't do this. But I'm going to do it. Another thing that I like to point out, I really go after the people on our side that don't understand filling the space, because that's going to be an important concept today, filling the space. And I really get mad at people on our side that don't provide you something of quality, something of use. The people that are influencers, not commentators. These are people that are on social media for themselves, that do nothing but clickbait. I hate those people. I do. I really do. I really hate those people because they don't care about what happens, what the net result is. All they care about is garnering attention for them and making a few bucks. That's all they care about. So they push the buttons all the time. They push the buttons. What's one button they push? This one. This fucking guy. Anything this guy does that's annoying, they scream at the top of their lungs. Look what this fucking guy did. Give me clicks, give me clicks, give me clicks. And that fills the space with a bunch of anti-democratic rhetoric. And then here comes old Texas Paul saying, yeah, he does stupid shit and he's going to get primaried. Let's worry about that when it's time to primary him. He votes the way you want to vote 95% of the time. Let's not make this the most important thing in the fucking universe. We got to fill the space with anti-Republican stuff. Got to keep people mad at those Republicans because they're the ones that control government. They're the ones that are tearing shit up. They're the ones that are fucking things up. They're the ones that are ruining things for you. But you've got the clickbaiters that, they know this will get them some attention. This fucking guy voted no on Jay Clayton. It was a straight party line vote. No Democrat voted to confirm Jay Clayton. Not one. Every Republican voted to confirm Jay Clayton. That is not a surprise. Jay Clayton represents what Republicans are at their core. John Fetterman did not. He voted the way you would want him to vote. Did any of those people that clickbait off John Fetterman every time John Fetterman shows up on Fox News or John Fetterman says something fucking stupid, those people that get that clickbait all the time, did any of them that build their entire fucking online persona about shit like that, instead of providing you with quality information that you can use, that you can actually vote on, that you can govern with, that you can do things with, did any of those people happen to tell you that John Fetterman again voted with the party and opposed that shitty, horrible swamp turd Jay Clayton? Did anybody tell you that? Are any of the clickbaiters out there? Of course they're not. It's a rhetorical question. It is a rhetorical question. And I know I shouldn't do it. I know I shouldn't do shit like that because, there's a lot of people, he pisses you off. I get it. He pisses you off. He pisses me off. He does too. And it doesn't ingratiate me with you when I do that because you don't like the fucking guy. And I get it because he says and does stupid shit. He's going to get primary. It just pisses me off that so many people on our side don't help us, because filling the space is important. It is crucial. Bandwagon effect is crucial. Brand is crucial. And it has real world effects on what's going to happen to you. And I see these people selfishly, oh, this is easy attention, easy clicks. I'll get some cash off of this. Let me talk about this. But they didn't tell you the other part. Anyways, moving on. Why is it important to not have a guy like Jay Clayton in charge of be head of the DNI, a guy that's focused on doing nothing but serving the oligarchs, who doesn't really give a shit about the American people, and who doesn't really have an intelligence background? Why is it important to not have a guy like that? Well, it's shit like this. Iran to get Chinese shoulder launch missile systems in weeks, sources say. They're called man-portable air defense systems, or MANPADS. The American variant of it is the Stinger missile. You've heard of the Stinger missile before. They're getting the Chinese version of Stinger missiles. Yeah, MANPADS are being used to great effect by Ukraine. Ukraine is using the Chinese FN-16 and FN-6 to fantastic effect against Russia. Russia doesn't, of all the horrible shit, this is something that slips by so many people. Of all the horrible shit you see of Russians using drones to attack civilian populations in Ukraine, you don't realize that is only a small fraction of what Russia has tried to do to the Ukrainian civilian population. It's having these that is making a massive difference in Ukraine. They're inexpensive and they are good. The Chinese FN-16 is good. It is smaller and lighter than our variant. They're good. And Iran, yeah, is getting a big shipment of them. I wonder who Iran is going to use those against. I don't know, maybe American service members who shouldn't be there in the first damn place. I mean, there are really things in the world going on. We really cannot afford somebody like Jay Clayton. It's like having Tulsi Gabbard in the job, running around in Georgia looking at bullshit, voter bullshit. This is a serious fucking job, people. But yeah, Republicans, they can't govern. They can't govern. They're incapable of governing. Rich, thank you for being so generous, brother. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you for always being here. Peter Campbell, thank y'all. Thank y'all for being so generous with the community and giving people free memberships. I am truly grateful. Martin Bissig, 6-month member. Thank you for always being here, bud. Supporting what's right. Greetings from, all right, man. Good to see you, my friend. Good to see you. Peter Campbell, we're hopefully all on the journey to our best life. On that road, we find ourselves at this crash of democracy. We must put our individual journey on hold to restore the path for everyone. Vote. Amen. Amen. Very well said, Mr. Campbell. Very well said. Jordan Miller, I am a one-issue voter. I only vote Democrats. Amen, brother. Amen. Millennial David, tired of us dodging on Andy Bashir instead of talking about his progressive policy. Hello from California. Dogging, not dodging, dogging on Andy Bashir. I don't get why anybody would be dogging. We're going to talk about Andy Bashir here in a little bit. He's been doing a masterful job of handling this whole Mitch McConnell thing. He really has, and we've got some movement on that front. E.T. Buddy, messaging people affordability instead of culture wars, citizens united instead of APAC. Are you ready to get involved? When we do the work, it gets done. Amen, brother. Amen. DTQ, maybe you could talk to Midas about toning down their clickbait headlines. I've stopped watching them because of it. Midas does an amazing job. They really do. They really do. They are about the only people out there, and they are fighting for time and headline space and all of that. They are. But as far as just getting you information and actual analysis behind it, yeah, I'm telling you, Ben Mycelis does an amazing job. Brett does an incredible job. It's his job to capture your attention. It is. It is. And Jordy, I mean, just those guys. I'm telling you, I like those guys. I really do. I really do. I get your point. Totally get your point. It gets tiring. People throw sensational headlines out there. I did it the other day using Mamdani. I did it the other day, just to make a point about the hypocrisy of the Republican Party. And what Republicans are doing down here in Texas with religion. I used a hook mentioning, I accused Zoran Mamdani of doing what Greg Abbott did when, he didn't do that. That was Greg Abbott. I know that gets tiring. It does. I get it. That's why I try to do it very, 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 very rarely. I get your point, is what I'm saying. Gregory Brown, clickbait and information silos are killing us. Yeah, they're selfish. They are selfish. They don't give a shit what happens. I'm one of those people that says, hey, follow that person, talk to that person. That's good information. Do this. Those people, those clickbaiters out there, just pay attention to me. I hate those people. Jordan B. Miller, Trump. And don't you ever, as part of our community, show up on someone else's feed and say something like, Texas Paul was talking about that last week. Don't do that to another creator. Don't. If they're talking about the right thing, this isn't a competition. It isn't. There are people out there, and we talk about the same thing. Some of us talk about it first. Some of us talk about it. I get that. The reason I said is I get that all the time. I will talk about something that is similar to something that Mr. Global talked about because I follow the energy sector because I'm in Texas. And he'll have talked about something similar to that. I will be talking about something completely different. I know what Matt Randolph talks about because I follow the guy. I know that he hasn't touched on a point that I'm making, but I'll get somebody, oh, Mr. Global talked about that. He talked about that. This is old news. No, it's not. Shut the fuck up and watch the video. Don't ever do that to people. Don't do that to people. If people are on our side doing the work, good job. Good job. Jordan, Trump is too stupid to know anything. Amen. Amen. That is a fact. That is a fact. Mike Daly the Dim. You know what? Good segue for this. Yeah. Anybody shocked that Trump, every other human being in Lindsey Graham's funeral is wide awake. Trump dead freaking asleep several times. There are images of him just drifting off, just every other human being in that service wide awake. Trump, we're going to have a conversation. Let me finish this. We're going to come back and I want to talk about something. I want your take on it. We're going to roundtable something real quick in respect to that. Mike Daly the Dim. Morning, brother. Joining your show with a great cup of coffee to treat a migraine. Oh man, I tell you, you and Mrs. Texas Paul, y'all both fighting those today. Something must be happening. Let's fill the space with Tallarico, Hinojosa, Acton, Brown, Turek, Ritna. Great candidates all. Some extra money for the jar. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you. Yes, talk up Democrats and point out all the shit Republicans are doing wrong to keep people pissed off at them. It's an easy formula. Kismar, thank you for supporting the show. Alastriona, when your platform is government is bad, you'll govern badly. Is bad. I get you. When your platform is government is bad, you'll govern badly. Alastrina, I got you. Alastrina, gotcha. Thank you. I really appreciate that when you put a pronunciation. When you know it's going to be rough, did you keep me from looking stupid? I'm really grateful, Alastrina. Thank you. Mr. Newts, good to see you, brother. Iran will use those against any non-stealth target. Helicopters, anything that flies low. Yep, they got a range of about 5 to 6 kilometers. It's time to go home and refuse to play the warmongers' games. Yep. Any strike aircraft, any drones, any helicopters. Yep. Mike Daly the Dim. If Bashir calls special election, that's another Republican. McConnell's not voting right now. That is an argument that a lot of people are making. That is. ET, when YouTube runs the algorithms, they have to do. Yeah, I hear you, brother. I hear you. Jay Sanders, welcome. Glad to see the new members. Let's talk about this. Now, when I bring this up, my biggest fear is being ageist. Hell, I'm old. But I am starting to understand there are some things I probably shouldn't be doing anymore because of my age. At what point do we start looking? And you'll notice this is bipartisan. There's a lot of D's on that list. How old is too old? I mean, this is a national security issue. Many of these peoples are leaders, are leaders in Congress. I mean, really. I mean, we're not a bunch of spring chickens. There aren't a bunch of kids in this audience. There aren't. Most of us that are here together, we've got either got a little gray or we're, dying the gray away, or, what I mean? You know what I'm saying here? We're not spring chickens anymore. We're mature people. We're mature people. I really want to hear from you, because I'm looking at this list, and, like Angus, Angus King, he still seems to have his faculties about him. He still seems to be rather sprightly, but he's 80, man. I'm wondering how these folks are going to do in a war. What we've got going on with Iran. I mean, how well does Chuck Grassley handle being woken up at 2:00 in the morning because something big has happened? Or Bernie Sanders, he gets around, he gives a bunch of good speeches, he gets fired up. He does. But at 83, is it ageist to say maybe we should have an age cap? I mean, what is it? 57 years old? If you're a special agent in the United States government, at 57 years old, they make you retire. I mean, where do y'all fall on this? Because I don't mean to be ageist here at all. I don't. I mean, because I know I'm the first person. That was a lot of the last night when I was with the Smith County Democrats that I was talking about, because we've got she's brought in some young people, and that was some of the advice I gave is these old folks around here that look like me, that a lot of white in their hair, got a lot of knowledge. There's a lot of knowledge in this room. They may not be able to beat feet like you can, young folks, but these people know shit. So I don't want to be ageist, but how old? Because come on, man, we know, we're dealing with it. We're not quite as sharp and quick as we used to be, even mentally. I mean, we have a lot of knowledge, a lot of effectiveness. Don't get me wrong. But, are you really in a crisis? Are you really what you were at like 35, 40, 45, 50? I don't know. It's a hard conversation, isn't it? It really is. Because you don't want to tell somebody that's still got their shit wired straight that, because we don't all age the same. I mean, you don't want to tell anybody that's got their shit wired straight, hey, sorry, pasture you go. But yeah, we really need to we need to start thinking about, term limit. And again, that's another one. Term limits. That's one that I'm not a clear, I'm a gray area guy on term limits, because on one hand, I get it, but on the other hand, I know these guys like, Steny Hoyer and people you don't really think about that often are really good at this job. They're really good at making the wheels turn. So yeah, I mean, on one hand, I'm like, yeah, term limits, because we don't want people to get too old or too powerful or too set. But on the other end of it, it's like, you're kicking your most experienced people out the door. I acknowledge that it's not clear cut. And that's why I'm asking you as a roundtable. I'm reading your comments as we go. I'm reading your comments, and I'll read your comments when the show's over and it's reposted. I will go back and I will read your comments. I would really like to know where y'all are falling on this, because I'm telling you, I don't have the answer. I don't. I do know our current president isn't fit for the job. I know that is too high stress of a job. You cannot have a dementia laden fool, and you cannot have a president by committee. You can't. You've got to have a leader. It is a job that requires leadership and the ability to lead. And our current president cannot. No, even if you don't, even if you don't agree with Trump, which I don't at all, I think he's a piece of shit. I think he was an idiot piece of shit before he became a demented idiot piece of shit. But you've got to acknowledge the job requires someone in it that can actually govern, that can actually lead. That is a thing. That is a thing. Anyways, I don't want to get too far off into the weeds here. Talking about destroying things. I wanted to segue from Fetterman to this guy because, you need to remember who the other fucking guy in the election was. People are very angry about Fetterman being elected, but you got to remember what the other option was. What the Republicans put on the table was this guy. And this guy, just remember, president by committee. They're all securing their funding for after the job. They're all pandering to the oligarchs. They're all not serving you and the interests of the American people. They're feathering their nests because that's what Republicans do. How many times did I tell you, if we do not win the midterms, this will happen. They will go after your Medicare. They will go after your Medicaid. They will go after everything that serves the American people that the oligarchs no longer want to pay for. Because let's be honest with you, we're not paying for it. We're not. That's not how funding the government works. It's not how funding any government ever works. In fact, every government that has ever, in all of history, we saw a collapse in Egypt when the Egyptian pharaohs decided they wanted to tax the average person based on, and they used cooking oil. That really happened, folks, in history. It had an entire government in Egypt collapse, an entire reign come to an end. And it started with deciding to try to squeeze blood from a turnip. You never run a government by taxing the people. Most of us are too damn poor. We're here to provide our backs, our labor, our service. That's how we contribute. But the very, very rich among us don't want to pay the bills. And that is the hallmark of the collapse of a nation. It just is. It just is. Governments are funded the way they're government. How many times have you heard of kings, throughout history? What do they take a percentage of cattle? Well, they're not taking it from the freaking poor people. They're not taking it from the farmhands. They're taking it from the landowners. It's just the way government works, man. And I love when people say, that Republican attack when you get some guy that makes $40,000 a year telling you want free shit because you want an education system in this country. Some MAGA chode jackass who's, he and his wife are both working their asses off to try to barely make it. They're screaming at you that you want free shit, defending the people that actually should be paying for this stuff because they benefit from our society. And they benefit more than anyone else. How many times did I tell you they were going to do this? Well, they're already laying the groundwork. Yes, there's going to be lawsuits over this. Yes, it's going to be a fight. But they're telling you what they want to do. The only reason, Medicare Part D sucks. It was never good enough, and they didn't want to pay for it. Well, now they're going to kill it. They're going to make it completely unaffordable because we used to subsidize it. They're illegally taking that subsidy away. And yes, it's going to be fought out in court. And yes, it's going to be, but this is, Christ, people. How many times do I got to say, it's not me telling you, they're telling you. If we don't pull our shit together and we don't focus, this is what they're going to do. How many times do we have to have that conversation before everybody starts to get an inkling? And I mean everybody. I'm doing the best I can, folks. I am. I'm doing the best I can. I am here pumping this information out as best I can. And I am super grateful for all of you that are here sharing it, making sure. We're up to 2,300 people sitting here. Think about how many college auditoriums that is that we're filling here, having this conversation, listening to Professor Paul. And then we'll see another 30,000 people will watch this. 30 to 50,000 people will watch this after the fact. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. That's a good chunk of information that you folks are getting out by helping me with the algorithm, hitting the thumbs up button, sharing, all of that stuff. We're doing it. And why do we have to do it? Folks, Cyclospora is raging. And they've got no control over it. They don't. They've got no control over it. Measles. We've had, last year was a record year for measles cases. This year, we already surpassed, halfway through the year, we surpassed the numbers from last year. And we're only halfway through the year. It is so bad that hospital systems have redeveloped measles treatment protocols in their hospitals. The reason hospitals work is, they see things, whether it's car wrecks, industrial accidents, mangled hand or whatever. They see these things. They know how often they see them. So they develop protocols so that their people can react without thinking. So that their people can just assess, observe, and treat. Doctors and nurses, yes, they're special people. They are special people. They are. But they're not different from any other human being in that just like me learning to play the guitar, it's repetition. It's repetition. That's all it is. So that my brain learns to put my fingers in the right damn place while this hand is doing something different. That's all it is, repetition. Being a doctor, being a nurse is the exact same thing. You see a disease, you have gone through the motions, you have protocols in place, you treat that disease. You do this, this, and this. Hospitals are now re-engaging measles treatment protocols because measles ain't gone anymore. And why? Because Republicans and their anti-vaxxer bullshit. Screw worms. Another one. You know what? Let's put a pause in all that for a second. I want you to hear what the Republicans' answer is to these problems. Now remember, they don't govern. They don't like to govern. They don't do anything to govern. As in, we talked about it in the beginning. Government is doing things. That's what governing is. It's doing things. It's seeing an issue. Okay. A lot of people want to go from here to there. We should build a road from here to there. That's simple. That's government. A lot of people are getting sick from this. We should fund studies so that the hospitals and the doctors can prevent and treat this. That's government. That's all it is. It's not a big deal. People like to think of it, no, high-minded shit. It's not. It's just problem there. We go there. I mean, it's really not that big a deal. But when you hate government, when you want to do shady shit and you want to make sure that the government can't call you out on it, can't do anything about it, what do? You distract. You fill the space. Pay attention over here, Cletus. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Did you see them transgender people? Dropped your boy off at school this morning and picked up a girl. Cletus is like, oh, that's right. That's right. Even though Cletus doesn't even have a boy and that damn sure didn't happen. Cletus is like, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, man. Did you know they put kitty litters in high schools now? Kitty litter boxes, because these kids are furries and they don't want to poop and pee in a toilet. So they put cat boxes out for them so the furries can, like poop in a cat box. They believe that shit. Distraction. It's called filling the space. You talk about that instead of what's really going on. The Republicans know they've done it again. The same thing that killed them with COVID is destroying them now. They know this Trump administration will be, one of the hallmarks of this Trump administration will be disease. Because they have to own it, because of what they did with Doge, what they did. So their answer isn't to fix the problem. It's to distract. It's to distract. It's to distract. And they've been laying this groundwork. As you and I have been talking about the problems, as you and I have been talking about screwworm, as you and I have been talking about cyclospora, as you and I have been talking about measles, as you and I have been talking about meat inspections and foodborne illnesses and everything, this is what the Republicans have been doing.
Look, I'm surprised people aren't suing Fauci civilly for all the damages they did to their families and killing people and things like that. I mean, I don't think a pardon would prevent a class action suit against Fauci personally. He needs to be held accountable. I mean, think about it, Maria. The guy's sitting in a mansion with millions of dollars, and a lot of people in this country think this guy's a hero. He was Dr. Frankenstein of the modern era. This is indisputable fact right now. He created that virus using gain of function research. He did it for the express purpose. He thought.
He just sat there on Fox News and said, Dr. Fauci created that virus. You'll notice he didn't say COVID-19. That is a planned, rehearsed line to prevent him from being sued. Notice he didn't say anything specific. He said, Dr. Fauci created that virus. So if Fauci sues him, he'll just go to court and say, well, no, I meant another virus. Well, there are treatment programs that utilize viruses. Well, that's what I meant. He created that good virus over it. That's what I was talking about. Prove it. Read my mind and tell me that's not what I was saying. But wait, let's finish up.
It was like a good idea. Let's create the virus in case something happens in the future. So then we can create a vaccine. So if something happens in the future, we can deal with it. I mean, how did that work out, Anthony?
Create a virus, just so they can create a vaccine and make you take a vaccine so they can make money off you. They can make money off you by selling you that vaccine that you don't need. How did that work out for you? How did that work out for? Well, I tell you, the vaccines worked out pretty fucking good because we were filling 18-wheeler reefer trucks with dead bodies when you fuckers were running things, and now we're not. Now everything's back open. We handed you a fully functioning economy after fixing all your broken shit. So it's going pretty fucking well, Peter. And by the way, this was the head of the White House Trade Council. This guy was part of the administration. Okay. This isn't just Peter Navarro being fucking stupid. This is Peter Navarro of the Trump administration.
Anthony, you idiot. You need to come clean, Fauci.
Yeah.
I mean, Fauci, you need to come clean. Okay. Well, quit.
And there it is. There's information you don't know, and we're going to expose it. You need to come clean. He did dirty things. You need to come clean. This is all a distraction. It is all they are setting up what they're going to do to try to fill the space. Wait for it. We're going to get there. Wait for it.
Hiding behind your money and your laurels and your PBS documentaries. Come clean, because you killed people. All the kids that had to sit in their homes. My mom, I couldn't see my mom in where she was. She was holed up in her own apartment, getting food under the door. I mean, it's like a prison.
I always tell you, people vote to say fuck you, not thank you. That is just a pure plea to all the anti-vaxxer Republicans out there to remind them what they were angry about, how much they hated everything being shut down, because they're very selfish people. They're very selfish, self-centered people. It made them very angry that we had to do the things that we had to do. They didn't care who died. And that's a direct appeal to that. You remember how angry you were at these people? Because they're in trouble. They know they're in trouble. I'm telling you, the Republicans are good at this. Too many people on our side suck at this. They're focused on themselves. They're focused on clickbait. They're focused on serving their own interests, on getting their own attention. They don't understand how to do this. This is a real political tactic. Fill the space with confusing shit so that your average person doesn't have time to consume how bad you're fucking up. Throw sensationalistic conspiracies out there because, man, that gets people's attention. Then make sure your people are angry at them. You remember having to stay home. You remember not having to see your mom, not being able to see your mom. You remember having to be stuck home with them kids. You remember all that? Remember the schools being closed, so you had to be stuck home with them kids. You remember not being able to go to work and all the hard times. They did that to you. Now, that doesn't have to be true, but psychologically, it works. You just tell people who to blame. It doesn't have to be true, especially when the people you're talking to are really fucking dumb, really selfish, and really emotional. But wait, there's more.
Fauci did that. Fauci did that, and the Chinese hit it too, okay? Let's not forget the culpability of the Chinese Communist Party in this.
The Chinese communists and Fauci working together. They did it. They did this to you.
They hit it too. They threatened to drown us in a sea of virus if we dared say the virus came from the Wuhan lab. Look, I'm surprised people aren't suing Fauci.
And the other part that was so good in this, it was a masterclass on how you do this. The other part that was so good was he separated Fauci from Every one of them. They know their people are fucking stupid. They know their people are dirt broke. They know their people are getting plowed under at the grocery store and the gas station. Did you catch that line where he talked about Fauci living in his mansion with his millions? Yeah, that's to separate Fauci. He's not, no, he's one of them. He's rich. He got rich off of you. When really Dr. Fauci worked in government for, what was it, 60 years? He was highly successful, and his assets completely make sense mathematically. His wife also was successful. Both of these people had six-figure salaries for a very long time. They're worth $12 to $15 million. They built that wealth. You can do the math on how long they worked, what their income was, having a little bit left over for investments. They put that money into investments. The investments paid off. It all maths. Compare that to Ken Paxton. Compare that to Ken Paxton, who none of that shit maths. None of that shit makes sense. They're literally trying to sell you the conspiracy theory that is the reality of Ken Paxton getting rich off the government, getting rich taking your tax dollars, selling camera systems for fucking cop cars. And God knows how the hell he scratched the money together to invest in all that. Because the math don't math. His income versus his assets don't math. Literally what they're doing, they're accusing Anthony Fauci of, when you can look at his wife's career, his career, their incomes, and it all adds up perfectly. Perfectly. But the stupids, they want it. They want it. They want to believe they're right. They don't want to believe they were wrong. They don't want to believe that they failed. They don't want to believe that they did this shit to us. So yeah, they just eat it up. Eat it up. So what are the Republicans doing? They're failing on measles. They're failing on screwworm. They're failing on cyclospora. It's all directly related, and we're going to break it all down. They're going after Dr. Anthony Fauci. That's their plan. That's their distraction. They called Dr. Anthony Fauci in to testify before Congress. And it was a setup. It was a setup. And we knew it was a setup because Rand Paul did this. Rand Paul, as a member of Congress, demanded that Dr. Anthony Fauci's diaries from his time at the CDC be handed over to Rand Paul, and they selectively released parts of his diary to create a narrative. Not the whole fucking diary, just parts of it. To try to generate outrage, to try to play into the conspiracy theories. And Rand Paul is screaming for the prosecution of Dr. Anthony Fauci. Well, Dr. Fauci has seen the abuse of the prosecutorial system. Look at what they tried to do. They tried to get somebody to resign from the board of the Fed, board of governors. So what did they do? They abused the prosecutorial system. They tried to charge her with crimes that she did not commit. And on and on and on and on. So Dr. Fauci was absolutely smart. He did this. He did this. When called before Congress, this is what he said. I'll let the man say it himself. This just happened, folks. This is not, I know you're like, Fauci, isn't that like COVID? Isn't that old? No, this just happened. They really thought that this was going to be their savior in the midterms, that they were going to distract from all they know they are getting absolutely destroyed because of their failures. but they wanted to distract. They wanted to fill the space and have people talking about Fauci instead of the problem. Well, we're not going to let him get away with it. We're not. And Dr. Fauci brilliantly did this. He cut their nuts off. He did.
Served at the NIH for over 54 years, 38 of those as director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases. Over that period, I proved that I believe in and respect the value of legitimate congressional oversight. In fact, I testified before and or briefed Senate and House Senate and House committees well over 200 times over those 38 years. During and after the COVID pandemic, I have appeared multiple times for hearings in the Senate and the House, usually under oath, and sat for several days-long transcribed sworn interviews, answering questions about the very issues that are now the subject of this hearing. However, given Senator Paul's obvious obsession with calling for my prosecution, his repeated slanderous comments about me, and recently his publicly releasing my unredacted personal.
Sorry, I muted myself because I didn't want you to hear me slurping coffee when I talked about this, when I was drinking coffee while he was talking. Given this proven that this administration will abuse the Department of Justice, they will. Look at what they did to Adam Schiff. Look what they did. I mean, just over and over and over again, they have abused the Department of Justice. They have prosecuted people that committed no crimes. James Comey. They tried to prosecute James Comey for taking a picture of seashells. They've proven it. It's not just maybe, they've proven that they will absolutely abuse the system, commit crimes on their own part to attack people. So yeah, that's not just hyperbole. Let me back up just a second.
His publicly releasing my unredacted personal diary aimed at embarrassing and intimidating me, the only conclusion I can reach is that the sole reason he is calling me before this committee is to get me to say something, anything that could vindicate his repeated public pledges that I end up, in his words, quote, behind bars, unquote. Any reasonable person who has followed his unhinged obsession with me would readily come to the same conclusion. Therefore, although it pains me to do so, because of the respect I have for the legislative branch of government and my decades-long record of cooperating with Congress, under the advice of my attorneys, I will invoke my right under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution to refrain from answering your questions. Thank you.
We will now
Served at
Yeah. Fauci did that. Fuck you. Talk to yourself. I'm not going to give you talking points. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to let you try to abuse the Department of Justice to try to come up with some false fucking case so that you can try to save yourself in the midterms. I'm not going to do it. Fuck you. They're going to try anyways. They are. They are screwed, and they have no answer. They're not going to say, "Oh, well, maybe we made a mistake. Let's fix it." Well, let's talk about what they did. Let's talk about what they did. I mean, this says it all in the headline. The CDC has a Cyclospora lab. Doge downsized it last year. Yeah, they did this. They did this. They changed the regulations on reporting so that this outbreak got way farther than it ever should have before the government was even aware to react. But then they didn't react. They just sat and waited to see how bad it would get before they decided if they needed to do anything about it. Now we got over 10,000 cases of people with explosive diarrhea, some of them dying from it. Yeah, they did that. They did that. They literally cut everything that would have protected you from Cyclospora. They did that. They did that. So, of course, Fauci, vaccines. Did I tell you he's rich? He ain't like you. He ain't like us. He's rich. Yeah, that bullshit. And of course, at the exact same time, Cyclospora is raging unchecked. And notice that nothing the Republicans have said or done even resembles a plan. Have you heard anything from the Republicans to actually do something about the Cyclospora outbreak? I'll wait. I mean, if y'all have heard anything, please let me know, because I can't find it. Nope, nothing. Not even a concept of a plan. That's right. Not even a concept of a plan. Yeah. So what are they doing? Let's attack Fauci. Yeah, the anti-vaxxers will love that. Let's fill the space with bullshit. While this is going on, U.S. measles cases reached 35-year high in 2026, surpassing last year's total. Folks, we're not even halfway, we're just barely, when we crossed that milestone, we were just at halfway through the year. Do the math on that. 2025 was a record number of cases. 2026, we're only halfway through the year. And we're not even in the bad part yet, folks. Fall and winter are when these diseases go crazy. Remember what you learned from COVID? Summer's not that big a deal compared to fall and winter. We're already over halfway there. What do you think is going to happen next year with measles? Again, hospitals are already developing treatment protocols to deal with our new friend, measles. Measles is bad, folks. It is bad. And I just want to remind everybody, yes, most of us here, if you're watching this show, you're vaccinated. You're vaccinated. You need to check and see if you need to have your vaccine refreshed. But vaccines are not condoms. They're not condoms. They can't prevent you from becoming infected. They can only teach your body what to do when you're infected. That's all a vaccine can do. And they're highly effective. They reduce the amount of time that you are infectious. They reduce the viral load you emit when you're infected. That is how the vaccines work. They reduce, it's like when you're treating a forest, when you're dealing with it, not treating, when you're fighting a forest fire, the first thing they try to do is cut off the fuel to the fire. They bring in bulldozers and they cut huge swaths of trees down, push huge swaths of trees down with the bulldozers to try to slow the amount of fuel that the fire has. That's the same thing that vaccines do for doctors. When an outbreak happens, the vaccines can't prevent it. They can't prevent you from getting. How many of you got the COVID vaccine but still caught COVID? Of course you did. It was a highly infectious disease, but your body knew how to react to it. You weren't as infectious. That allows doctors to engage in other protocols. Remember social distancing? Remember all the things that the government did to move heaven and earth? Remember that? Yeah. Yeah. And remember, they didn't do that until the disease ended, because COVID's still around. People still get COVID today. They did it until we could build up an immunity enough that the disease didn't rampantly wipe people out. Masks, yes, masks. Wearing masks. They whined about masks. They whined about masks. Famously, Marge, the elevator flatulator Green, commented, masks don't work because you can smell farts when I fart, and I got underwear on. She really said that, folks. Look it up. She really said that. When I fart, you can smell it, even though I got underwear on. How is a mask going to stop a disease? She really fucking said that, people. She really did. Oh my God. That's where that came from. Mars, the elevator flatulator. Yeah, that's where that came from. God damn these people. God damn these people. Measles, it's doubled in a year. In less than a year, in half a year, it doubled. Next year, this doesn't increase. It doesn't double every year. No, because in next year, the number of cases we have won't be twice what they were last year. They'll be 4 times what they were last year. And the next year will be 8 times what we had last year. And the next, they increase like this. And measles is one of the worst. It is one of the worst. It is super infectious. Folks, if someone has the measles in a hospital waiting room, hospitals are hot spots for measles. One second. Let me show you what I'm talking about. And the anti-vaxxers among us will warp this point and say the most untrue shit and try to scare people just for political points, to get the people to vote the way they want them to vote, or to just feel like they were right. They'll take this point and they'll warp it, and it'll cost people their lives. 2 Portland hospitals identified as measles exposure locations. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense, because measles is fucking terrible. If somebody is in a hospital waiting room and they don't know they have measles, and they're sitting there waiting, Folks, for 2 hours after that person leaves that room, you can still catch those measles. So you got a kid brought into the emergency room of your hospital. You break your arm. You show up in the emergency room 2 hours after that kid's been brought back, identified to have measles, and quarantined. You can catch measles. And it's worse in the wintertime. Measles is bad, folks. And it's back. And that's what I mean by hospitals have developed protocols. They're, those people that screen folks, they're training those people. This is what measles looks like. If you get anything that looks even remotely close to this, you make an announcement, code polka dot, or whatever their code is for it, code polka dot, and you move that family and that kid into that room all by themselves. That's where we're at. That's where we're at. We're back there. After having measles so gone that there were no hospital protocols for measles anymore. I mean, it was something they had to go look up in a book. We're back to that. And next year, we've doubled. We're halfway through the year. And we've doubled last year. Imagine what it's going to be by the end of the year when we go through fall and winter. Then imagine next year. That's why they were wanting to talk about Anthony Fauci. One second, I got a call. Because they gutted the CDC. They gutted every, the shit that we didn't create because it was, it wasn't Tuesday and we were bored. It's because we dealt with these outbreaks. They were so angry about everything we did post-COVID. They destroyed it all. And they know they're responsible for it. So instead of saying, my bad, we shouldn't have let that crazy fucker Elon anywhere near our government. We'll fix this. Sorry. My bad. No. Dr. Fauci, yeah, he murdered people. Yeah, that's what they do. That's what they do. And folks, this is happening. This has happened, I should say. Canada suspends animal exports from Texas due to New World screwworm concerns. Way to go, cattle ranchers. Your idiot votes weren't free. Canada will no longer import your cattle or sheep or anything else because we have a screwworm outbreak. Yeah, we do. We do. And it's out of control. And it is spreading. And it is spreading. And it is spreading. And most news outlets are not telling you what's going on. Kudos to NBC for running this one article. The U.S. fought the flesh-eating screwworm for decades. Yeah, it used to be here. We got rid of it. Now it begins again. Yeah. Why? Well, and I will tell you, in the 50s and the 60s, when we eradicated this, it cost us millions. Imagine what it is going to cost us today. They don't want to even talk about everything that we had to do. We culled cattle. We did this. It's going to take a lot, folks. It's not going to be good. It is not going to be. So, of course, instead of coming up with a plan and saying, hey, what did we do last time? No. Get me Fauci. Get me Fauci. Release his diary. Not all of it, because that makes too much sense. Them, them folks on the left will put shit in context, and we don't want that. Just release the parts that we can get Cletus pissed off about. That's what we're going to do about the screw worm. Fauci. And they're using the media. I shit you not. I have told you this before. The media took a side. They did. The Broligarchs bought the media, and the media took a side. They did. I shit you not. CNN put this out. There's a reason it wasn't on every news outlet, because this is the most idiotic shit you will ever read in your lifetime. Flesh-eating screwworm has reached the U.S., a comeback driven by organized crime. I shit you not. They're blaming cartels for the screwworm. I'm not even kidding. Because when you create a boogeyman and you use that boogeyman, do you remember, how much they've used the cartels? They invaded apartment complexes because, it's cartel headquarters. It turns out it wasn't. It was just a guy, one of the rich oligarchs wanted a bunch of people evicted so that he could sell off his shit for a profit. You remember all those stories? But the cartels, all they got to do is say cartels did it. Oh my God, woo, boogie, cartels brought you screwworm. Yeah, they did. Because they're saying the cartels treated cattle like cocaine. I'm not even kidding. Oh my God, I'm not even kidding. They smuggled illegal cattle, and that's what caused it. The cartels. And a major news outlet went along with that. They did. When they knew for a fact that Trump had done this. Trump administration eliminates GIPSA. Grain Inspection, Packers, and Stockyards Administration. That last part sounds important, right? Grain Inspection, Packers, and Stockyards Administration. GIPSA. That last part sounds mildly important in the management of stockyards. GIPSA. They got rid of it. We don't need that regulation. We don't need that government organization telling us about how to handle our cattle, because of my rich oligarch meat packer buddy. He got some cheap cows he wants to bring in, make a good profit on, and all you care about is communism. You don't care that we're working to make a profit. You care about communism. That's it. Communism. I don't even say communism. Communism. That's what you care about. That government communism and your stockyard management. Yeah, they made it so that their billionaire oligarchs could bring cattle in willy-nilly without regulation, without oversight. Then they got rid of all the people. They got rid of GIPSA. Now, what if there's a problem because of that? What if there's a problem because of, well, surely we'll catch that, right? if there's a problem, except you fired the fucking people that catch the fucking problem. Let me say it again. Elon Musk, you fucking fuck. You bigot piece of shit, trash fucking bastard. You fired the fucking people that catch the fucking problem. After eliminating the people that made sure we didn't have that fucking problem in the first place. But it's the cartels did it. They smuggled them beefs in. And Cletus is just like, yeah. I bet that fucking Biden was doing. Did Hunter Biden sell illegal beef? Did Hunter Biden sell illegal beef? I mean, you can hear these stupid fuckers. You can hear them. But wait, there's more. Cows are inspected at the border. They are. They are. Well, they were. They were. It was all monitored by Customs and Border Patrol. You know, Customs and Border Patrol. People that are supposed to do that job. That don't do that fucking job anymore. Because of this. ICE operations show worrisome signs of mission creep. Yeah, they didn't have the personnel to do the shit that they were doing. That's why they went and hired a bunch of stupid fucking kids that keep murdering people. Stupid fucking kids that don't understand the law. Because they decimated Customs and Border Patrol that were actually doing their job, that had to be trained specifically to do this job. And you can't just send fucking Cletus out that's never dealt with cattle before and say, hey, make sure them cattle are okay. No, you've got to have people trained to fucking do it. You got to know how to open the gate on the goddamn trailer. To begin with. They pulled agents that were dealing with inspections and moved them to enforcement, internal enforcement, to go after the brown people they didn't want. You know, Stephen Miller's little jerk off nightmare. They created all of this. They created all of this because of who they are. What they are, fundamentally at their core, what they are. They created all of this because their fundamental belief that government's bad. And their base will let them do anything just so long as they hurt the people that they want hurt. Which is you and me and people with darker complexions and members of the LGBTQI plus community. As long as they're doing that, they'll never hold them responsible for killing them. You can kill their kids with measles and they won't care. You've seen it over and over and over again. No regrets for being who and what they are. They don't think they were wrong. They didn't bet on the wrong horse. They were fooled. Or we Democrats somehow did it. Fauci did it. I bet you Fauci put them screwworms in that cattle. That's coming next. I bet you Fauci put them screwworms in that cattle with Hunter Biden. That's it. That's it. Hunter Biden was doing cocaine with a hooker on a cow's back, and Dr. Fauci slipped screwworms into that cow because everybody was busy watching Hunter Biden with a hooker doing cocaine on a cow's back instead of paying attention to what was going on. That's what happened. They're that fucking stupid, people. They are that fucking stupid. I'm going to say it again. They are that fucking stupid. We are not the same. We are very close to not even being the same species anymore. I mean, there have been different species of humans. We're very close to diverging to two separate species of human beings. They're that fucking stupid. They literally watched as their orange daddy, cult daddy, decimated meat inspections, decimated the people that regulate the cattle industry. They watched them pull people out of the jobs in the court and Customs and Border Patrol and put them in internal enforcement so they could have their fucking violence porn. Watch him beat up them darkies. Watch him beat up them woke liberals. Love it. Love ICE. Love ICE. Watch them. They're gonna hurt the people I want to hurt real bad, but I'm a fat pussy and I can't. So they're gonna do it for me. Watch. Woo! That's who they are. At their core, that's who they are. You can't reach these people. You cannot reach these people. There is no amount of stupid shit that can happen to them that will ever make them say, you know what? I just don't feel like hurting brown people today. I think it's more important that we deal with the potholes. I think it's more important that we deal with the food inspections. I think it's more important that we deal with the gas and the energy prices because, I'm about to be homeless, No, that will never happen. That will never happen. Never. They will never prioritize governing over hurting the people they want hurt. Never. Because they hate government. They hate government. Arcana Clan, got my coffee. Been a minute since I caught Texas Paul live with my coffee. Register to vote. October 5th is the deadline. Much love, friend. Hey, glad you're here. I am really glad you were here. Jordan Miller, at 55 years old, I feel too old for Congress. I'm telling you, man. I hear you, brother. I hear you. Linda Orndorff. The age thing is so difficult because different people age differently. Amen. Look at Bernie at 83, still sharp as a tack and still campaigning regularly. I hear you. Max Roy, thank you for supporting the show. I'm super grateful. I am. Arcana Clan, no age limit, just screened, not by Dr. Oz. Yes. I hear you. Sarah Burns, glad to see you here, Sarah. Glad to see you here. Jeremy Breeden, I love all you members, man. I do. I'm glad you are here. I really am. We need the community getting information out. We really do. I need you to listen to me and hopefully I make you bolder and more aggressive and we get this information out there. Jeremy Breeden, little support for the cussing jar. Is the cussing pond still out of commission? No, it's there, but it's hanging on by a thread. It is. I really got to get some equipment out here. I do. I tried, but every time I'd schedule a delivery of equipment, it would rain. It would just pour. It would just pour rain. Maybe I need to do that now because we need some rain. The DH is 111. Let's just get Drunk Pete to check their testosterone. No shit now. Mr. Knutson, better load those 80-year-olds with a mix of dexedrine, benzedrine, methadone, like some competitors. That's what's going on with Trump. That's what's going on with him. They keep juicing him, but they can't do it anymore because he keeps trying to die on him when he does it. Or should you retire when you get slow? We should. We should know our limits. Too, Kurt. They're going to make us do it because they're so selfish. I mean, who the fuck at 84 years old thinks that I should be running the government? Tube Kurt, we should provide stronger emeritus wisdom, providing roles for those that retire out. But modern leadership requires agility and stamina. Amen, brother. Well said, sir. Well, let me read that again. Well said. We should provide stronger emeritus wisdom, providing roles for those that retire out. But modern leadership requires agility and stamina. Amen. Amen. Agent Cajun, good to see you, my friend. Donald J. Trump is done. Accept that. He is. He is. He's demented, old, pitiful. The Niner fan, we have grandparents that can function, but I wouldn't have them run a wood chipper. I believe 70 should be the limit. Great show, Texas Paul. Thank you, man. Thank you. I know some 70-year-olds that are still active, and I would follow them. I would. Smart people, experienced, but man, everybody's different. It's kind of like driving. There's some young people out there that are responsible at 13 years old. That I got one grandkid that I would trust at 12 years old. He was reliable and smart and careful, considerate, worried about people. And I got another grandkid that to this day I wish didn't have a driver's license. And they're both grown-ups now. They're both adults. Mike Daly, the dim. The trouble with congressional elected office, brother, is that power accumulates with experience and can get outsized. Our challenge over the next centuries will be finding a balance. Yep. D Canyon, term limits will create professional politicians. It's an argument worth having. It is. Paul Gibson, welcome. Good to see you, my friend. Good to see you. Glad you're here, my friend. Glad you're here. Gail Brownell, I use Part D. My pain med just went up 15%. Man, I'm telling you, we've got to do this, man. For our old people, for our women, if you're a man, and I mean you're a man, a real man, you've got to stand up to these people. You have got to stand up to these people. It's our job to protect our old folks. It's our job to protect our children, and they're attacking both of them. MAGA defends billionaires hoping to be one someday. DTQ, boy, you hit that on the head. They all think they're all either poor and think they're rich because, they don't live in a double wide anymore. They got a house with a foundation, so they think they're rich, or they think they're going to be rich one day. And they think that this somehow applies to them, not knowing that they'll never make enough income in their lives for any of this to apply to them. Arcana Clan, NBC, Catch a Predator TV show caught 250 cis men. Yep. Gail Brownell, where's the election fraud proof? 2 more weeks. Yep. Where's the proof of that? You said they had all this election fraud proof. Where is it? Mr. Knutson, trans, so scary. Fauci made them. Yeah, he did. They really believe shit like that. They really believe that he made transgender people, that he made created viruses just to sell vaccines and somehow got rich off that. They really believe that shit. Rena Scott, Fauci is the new distraction from the rump involvement with the Tates. I'm telling you, it's so much that is wrong. They're just going to create salacious, crazy shit. Glenn Kaneko, thank you for being so generous. Thank you for gifting those memberships for everybody. Mr. Knutson, Fauci is a hero and deserves every penny he earned. And he did. Yeah. If you have a 6-figure job for 40, 50, 60 years, you will be a millionaire if you're not a complete idiot. He and his wife were both successful. Both had high-paying jobs. Both invested. Of course they're millionaires. You know how stupid you would have to be to not be a millionaire? E.T., they don't want to admit they voted for this. Yeah, they don't. They don't want to take responsibility for what they did. Yeah, they did. Yeah. Well, they did try to get Hunter to self-unalive. And they did. They did. Sally S24. What I remember is Trump dismantling the pandemic task force that Barack Obama put in place. Exactly the same. This is what they're terrified of. This is what they don't want to talk about. They don't want to talk about what they did with Doge. They don't want to talk about that this is exactly that all over again. When you put Robert Kennedy Jr. in charge of the CDC, you did this. You did it on purpose because your oligarchs didn't want to pay. They didn't want to have regulations. They didn't want, fuck those guys. Steve Pift. The Young Turks fell for Rand Paul's BS. Of course they did, because they're stealth Republicans. They're pretend lefties that are always serving the right wing. Mr. Knudsen, I respect Fauci even more now. LOL the fifth. Yeah, that was a great maneuver. That really was. Smart, too. Smart. Brad Michael, I still can't trust Marge the bounty hunter. I know what you're saying. Crafty Ass Gardner, thank you for gifting the memberships. A few more and we're going to get back to work. We got a couple more things to talk about. Skeet Sayre, this is what happens when you put Mad Magazine levels in charge. Exactly. Gail Brownell, I work at the hospital. We have a safety meeting today. I'm going to bring this up. Holy hell. How long will we let a room sit before we clean? I'm telling you, man, if you got a kid that comes into the emergency room waiting room, it can be 2 freaking hours. And you can still get measles in that room. Just by entering that room. Skeet said the entire admin competes to see how much damage they can do to the detriment of the whole world. And yeah, bring up the fact that hospitals are now becoming infection hotspots because measles is so contagious. It only takes the hospital a few minutes once they see someone to realize, oh shit, this is measles. The suits go on. They do everything they're supposed to do. But there's that window between, oh shit, this is measles, and they sit in the waiting room. There's that window there. It's scary. It is scary what these people are doing. Skeet's there. Meanwhile, Mom Donnie hits another home run with municipal grocery stores that are 30% less than the competitors. Yep. That's that socialism they hated so much. Are they going to be as nice as every other grocery store? No, they're not. Are they necessary? Yep. Are the poorest among us, the ones that are trying to survive in New York, doing a blue collar job, are they going to need them? Yep. And it's not going to be nice. It's not. It's not going to be nice. It's not going to be like, what is, I want to see in the comments, what is your nice? Everybody has a grocery store in your area that is the fancy schmancy grocery store. What is the one in your area? Skeet's there. All this BS security threat started with Neighborhood Watch. It killed kids playing outside by themselves with other kids. Man, good ideas can go wrong. They can. Skeet's there. Think about it. If Musk was high on ketamine, think about it. Musk was high on ketamine at the time, so no hope his brain is more pudding than so no hope his brain is more pudding than, I'm not reading that wrong. I know what you mean. I thought I was misreading that. I know what you mean though. Yeah. Freaking ketamine pudding brains. Extreme paranoia is a byproduct, a symptom of somebody that does too much ketamine. Dadadella, among others. Dadadella, we are not angry enough. Thank you for the truth. We are not. Skeet Sayre, does anyone else remember playing marbles as a kid with the Crown Royal bags and pure cat's eyes marbles in your bag? Yeah, I do. Cleary's, remember Cleary's? Those used to be my favorite. Cleary's. Marie Crabtree, thank you for gifting the memberships. Thank you. Skeet Sayre, they are lizards. I hear you. Dave Barone, for the cussing jar until you make it to the pond. Thanks, man. I appreciate you. Dragon Rider, thank you. Wow, 50 memberships. Super generous, brother. Thank you for helping out the community. I appreciate you. All you got to do, folks, is make sure that you can receive gifts, and you will get one of those free memberships. GH Bill, the spread of screwworms was facilitated by organized crime, the organized crime currently running the government, the broligarchs. You know, if they would just call it what it is, the corporations are the organized crime. They wanted cheap, unregulated meat so they could sell it a little bit of a higher profit to you and me. That's the organized crime. If they'd call that out, wouldn't be a problem, would it? Keep on keeping on, Texas Paul. Thank you, man. Thank you. Chandra Patton, my cussing jar overflowing. Thank you. I appreciate you for always being here, Chandra. I appreciate you for always being here. Marie Crabtree, wow, thank you. Happy hump day. That is huge, Maria. I know, man, I know $50 is a lot of money. I do. Clarence WD, Fauci is a saint, modern day Louis Pasteur. He's a good man. He has dedicated his life to public service. He is. And this is the thanks he gets as an old man, because they're political fuck-ups. They're going to hound this man till he dies. That's who these people are. That's who these Republicans in Congress are. So you think they won't fuck you over Medicare or Medicaid or anything that you need? Just look what they're doing to Fauci. They know this is bullshit. You think they won't do it to you? Thomas Keene, MAGA loves their ice snuff films. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. A couple more. We're going to get back to work. Skeet Sayre, they're not like us. They watched Blade Runner and wanted to create that society. Yeah. Ain't that the truth, man? We're looking for Star Trek. They're trying to create Blade Runner. Under construction for now. Flanagan corollary to Murphy's Law. If you try to use Murphy's Law to achieve a desired result, it won't work. Amen. Amen. Uncle Fatty, gaslight maxing with weapons of mass destruction. Matt Plaskin, Paul, too bad there is no cure for the stupids. There isn't, and you cannot relate to them. You know, I think all of us had that mental defect where we thought if we just made sound arguments to people that were, unreasonable people, that eventually we would bring them around. That's not going to happen. That's not the case. Mr. Knudsen, we want that 30% less communist Muslim priced beef. Got to feed the oligarchs because I will be one soon, said Cletus. Yep. Hit it right on the head, man. Marta, Senator Stupidville wants to bring Fauci to Alabama so they could take him to court and jail him. The man dedicated his life to public service. And this is what the end of his life is going to get, because they fucked up so bad and it's so obvious. They've got to have a distraction. That's how little service means to them. And we're going to talk about, that's a perfect segue to, but we're going to talk about one more comment. We're going to go to another story. Skeets here. Do you know why ISC, we're winning Democratic seats in Mississippi and Iowa? The truth is getting through. Pain is getting through. It's the only thing that snaps these people into reality is pain. And they're not going to come around. They're not going to change their self-identity for you. They're just going to not vote. And that's the best you can hope for. So I got a joke for you. Goes a little something like this. 2 war criminals walk into a Russian whorehouse. No, just kidding. I don't have a joke for you. But that's the first thing that came to mind when I saw this. 2 war criminals walk into a Russian whorehouse. Because that's what the White House looks like right now, a Russian whorehouse. So, yeah, Iran attacked our bases in Jordan because Trump was meeting with Netanyahu. I don't have much more to add to that. They've hit several more ships in the Strait of Hormuz. There's more fighting going on in the Red Sea. They've rejected Oman's proposal for Oman to run the strait in their waterways. Yeah, nothing's been fixed, nothing's been solved. But Wall Street, I'm sure, is going to pretend like it is because we've got to have another grift cycle. Everybody sold off their short positions. So now we've got to have an escalation of the conflict again to drive oil prices back up because they fell precipitously. So they made a lot of money on their short positions. And now they're going to buy back in to another short position in a week or so, or a week or two, when they've fomented all this shit in the media again about the war's happening again, and they don't care. They don't care. These two fuckers don't care. 18 dead U.S. servicemen, 624 U.S. service members have been injured. 18 dead service members, 624 injured. Do you think these two give a shit in the slightest? Do you think they're buddies that are fomenting this shit? That are running the short scams on this? Do you think anybody in the Trump administration is going to do a single investigation on any of that? No. They don't care how many service members die. All they care is their base doesn't get upset enough about it that they don't show up and vote. That's all they care. So why? Bring me Fauci. That's what this is all about, folks. Just distraction. That's all they care about. It's all they care about. And we have to stay focused. We have got to stay focused. We do. There's a lot of people attacking Andy Bashir. You get somebody on social media that thinks they know how to run politics. They know how politics should be handled. They know it all. A guy got elected governor in Kentucky. He must not know shit. I happen to read social media, so let me tell you how it should be done. They're attacking Andy Bashir. He's been handling this whole Mitch McConnell situation masterfully. He has. He didn't push too hard that it backfired on him, that it looked like he crossed a line. None of that. And then this. He let it marinate out there. He said, look, I'm getting reports that this guy, he's out. That he's done. I need to know. I need to know. And this was brilliant. Did you see this anywhere on social media? All the people out there that are willing to clickbait, John Fetterman clickbait and APAC clickbait and all that, everything is everything. Oh, let me get some clicks by saying something about Hakeem Jeffries or Chuck Schumer. Did you see anything on social media when Chuck Schumer held his entire caucus together to vote against Jay Clayton? Nothing at all. Did you hear them? I mean, wouldn't this have been great to fill the space with? Andy Bashir challenges Scott Jennings. Oh, you said you called and talked to Mitch McConnell? Okay. Do it on air. Do it on air. Have that phone call on air. Prove it. That's perfect. Perfect. Everybody loves that. Disappeared like a fart in a hurricane because people are too busy getting clicks, shitting on their own side. Shitting on their own side. Andy Bashir also did this. He said, it's nut cutting time. You either prove that you're competent and prove that you're on the mend to come back, or resign. One of the two. That is building pressure. That is building pressure. I now believe that he's going to call for a special election. I do. Before August 3rd, in the next 3 days, I believe Andy Bashir, there's a good chance. I don't have a crystal ball, but I believe that is where he's building to. His demands have slowly stepped up, but he's done it in a way that there hasn't been a backlash. And I believe that is where he's building to. August 2nd or the morning of August 3rd, he says special election. That's what I believe. That's what I believe. Close of business August 3rd is the deadline. That's the deadline for calling the special election. I believe August 2nd or August 3rd, Andy Bashir calls for a special election and sends this into crisis mode. Will they hold a special election immediately? No, they will not. But there will be plenty of time for this to be drug out. This is brilliant. This is brilliant. There will be plenty of time for this to be drug out. Fantastic job, Mr. Bashir. Fantastic job. Nailed it. Thumbs up. You're killing it. Let's keep the right things in the space. Let's keep us talking about the right things. Let's keep the focus going on. Be right or die, people. Be right or die. Let's get it done. Let's get it done. Well, that's what I have for you today, folks. I hope you found what I've done useful. I want to check one more thing before we go. Yeah, saw this coming. Saw this coming. I've been talking about it. You remember the collapse in 2007 and 2008? I mean, when we think about it like it happened like, that. But we've talked about it in the show before. We've talked about the dates, how long. It took 6 months to really get rolling. And it took a year after that to really play out. It wasn't an overnight thing. It felt like it was overnight, but it wasn't. I'm calling it. I'm telling you the AI bubble has burst, because right now what I'm watching is the really, really rich institutional investors are moving out of AI chip stocks. That's one of the dominoes that are going to fall. And you're going to see more days like this. Won't be every day. There'll be recoveries. There will be recoveries. And Cletus will say, oh, see, I told you the Dow's great. Look at that. It went up. No, but there will be more days like this that will be big losses after big losses after big losses. And then there will be that day. It'll be the day where the brakes are triggered, where the exchange has to shut down because they're losing too much value. That's when you know that it is already, it's no longer bursting, it's already burst. Here's the thing. Why am I talking about this so repetitively? Why? Because I've seen this happen historically over and over and over again. And the way it always plays out is Johnny Gotrocks and the Broligarchs always are ahead of this. They sell their stock before the news talks about it. They make their moves before you and I can even find out about it. I'm not doing that this time. I'm not. I'm going to call every day like this out every day. I'm going to raise the sirens. I am not your financial advisor. I am not. I will tell you, never fucking take financial advice from a guy on the internet. Don't do it. But I will tell you this. Start asking questions about your finances. Start asking questions about what you'll do during the next crash. Start making your plan. Be like the broligarchs. Be ahead of the curve, not behind it. That's why I'm doing this. Not because I'm saying, oh, the complete burst will happen tomorrow. Tomorrow will be the day where the exchanges close down because it's crashing so badly. No, I'm not saying that's tomorrow, but I am saying it's happening. And I'll tell you why it's happening. There are things that are going on. One second. Let me see if I got this article somewhere. It was one of the articles that I was reading. Let me see if I can find it for you real quick. They are already, yep. They're already doing things like this. They know the math doesn't math on this AI bullshit. They know they've already lost the AI race. Now, there's a lot of people that talk bad about China. And they're like, well, they steal all their technology and this, that, and the other. Yeah, they do steal technology. They do. I'll be honest with you. So do we. So do we. We just don't talk about it. When somebody here takes a look at, a Russian diesel and says, "Ooh, that's good. Let's do that, but let's tweak this and make it more reliable." We don't say, "Oh, they stole that from Russia." They say, "Woo, we're smart." China does the same shit. They take our technology and they tweak it and play with it, make it cheaper. They do the same shit. They did it with AI. We tried to keep them from having the technology to print the chips. They worked around it. They did. They worked around it. They stole technology. They developed technology. They did what they had to do. And now our government is making AI as expensive as fucking possible for you. And I mean for you, not just for companies and corporations, because those fuckers have to make a profit to exist. So this has to eventually come out of your pocket. They are going to make every AI service as expensive as possible through market protectionism. Everything they claim to be against, that communism, that socialism. Well, it's communism and socialism when it means you get health care or you get, a fair wage or anything that helps your life. That's communism and socialism. But when the government actively closes down your competitors so that you can charge more for your product because you can't make a profit on your product, so they have to fuck the entire market just so you can exist, they don't call that communism for some reason, when it's the worst kind of socialism. It's the worst kind. It is everything that is bad about socialism. They do in your face just like this. The reason the AI bubble is bursting is the math doesn't math. It doesn't. The only people making money off of AI, actually generating revenue, selling a product, and profiting, are the people that are building data centers. Like the Shark Tank guy. He's not some tech guru now. He has no use for a data center. He wants to build the data center to sell it. Those guys, those people, Google's not building all of these data centers. Meta is not building all these data centers. No. Apple, which has more cash than 80% of the governments out there combined, they're not building data centers. No, it's fucking guys like the Shark Tank guy that's going into your area that's willing to do all the shitty shit to fuck you out of your energy and your water to make a profit is building the data center. Then he turns around and sells it. I'll do another show on real estate. There's a real estate development grift about building apartment complex that's a lot like this. But I don't want to get off in the weeds. They're making money, but nothing else about AI is making anybody any money. Nowhere. The companies that contract with the AI companies for services, they've done the accounting. AI is not helping them. AI is not improving their bottom line more than it's costing them. That's why company after company after company is abandoning it. They're abandoning it. They are. This bubble is bursting. Why is it failing? There was never that much meat left on the bone. Think about it. What does AI promise? We're going to eliminate personnel so that you can increase your bottom line. That's AI. That is the product. We're going to eliminate humans and your payroll so you can make more profit. Folks, what has the American executive done for the last 40 years? 50 years. Cut. Eliminate every unnecessary person. Cut. There are not enough people in these organizations that you could eliminate them and replace them with robots and AI that will cover the expense of the robots and AI. You will lose money. It's cheaper to have humans than AI. And the only way it gets cheaper is through what the Chinese are doing. And we just blocked them out of the market. Did that communism. Why? To make you pay more for shit. To make it more expensive for you. That's it. That's why you can go to just about every other country on earth and cars don't cost as much as houses. It's just a fact. It's protectionism. It's what we do. As much as I love our union brothers and sisters and love, it is just what it is. There are other places on earth where motorcycles are sold for hundreds of dollars, not thousands. There are other places on earth where the expensive motorcycle is a Honda that sells for $4,000 to $5,000, and the Chinese and Indian competitors sell for $1,500 to $2,000. That's not here. That's not here. Because they must keep you paying as much as possible. That communism they claim to hate, that socialism they claim to hate, is for them, not you. Well, that's what I have for you today, folks. I hope you found it useful. Please share it. Please hit the thumbs up button. Let's get as much this message out as far as possible. Let's get as many people here. Let's build our community, grow the community. I can't do that alone. I'm busting it out every day on every social media platform, getting as many people together as we can. The rest of it's going to rely on you. If you want more people to hear this and get this kind of information, you got to do it. On that note, enjoy. Oh, and I want to say thank you again for all the support and allowing me to do this full time. Thank you. I cannot do it without you. I am truly grateful from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for allowing me to do this job. And enjoy some Texas cities at night.